Are you ready, Patamon? Let's do this, Gatomon.
Patamon Digimon 2! Gatomon Digimon 2!
Angemon!
Angewomon!
It's morphin' time!
Digivolve into champion. Digivolve into ultimate.
Hello, this is Soundout here, and welcome back to another Digimon review. This time we're merging two different lines because both of these characters seem to kind of fit together. We have the Figurerise Standard Angemon and the SH Figuarts Angewomon. Now, these are not part of the same line. They're not advertised as going together, but I think most Digimon collectors looked at this going, oh, they made the model kit Angemon and the Figuart Angewomon due to the design differences. And they definitely fit together. These are a pair that come up a lot in Digimon. They are always kind of paired up with each other, so they kind of release them in two different lines at the same time, and I think that was definitely intentional. So, what we're going to do is look at both of these, compare and contrast, and see if they do scale well together. Clearly, they do scale well together, but we will go into the details of all that.
Digivolve into champion.
Alright, so here's the box for Figurerise Standard Angemon. I may just keep using Angemon because dub pronunciation, it's technically Angemon in Japanese. If I flip-flop, I apologize in advance. I have literally like this brain thing where I can't keep Digimon names straight anymore. I learned both of them, and now I just can't say one or the other. It's just both, most of the time. Anyways, really nice box art of him. He's got the Hand of Fate while holding his staff, which I think is cool. Might pose him like that later. We got Figurerise Standard, of course. Really nice packaging art as usual with the Figurerise Standard kits. I reviewed most of them before. I skipped over Gallantmon / Dukemon, but I have been picking up all of these kits. I really like them. I think they're really, really solid, so pretty cool. Now, the cool part, too, with this guy that I did want to point out, you know, here's the instruction manual, the sticker count. So here's the stickers, which is essentially just the edging around the top of his helmet, this strip of silver around the leg, these around the hand, and then this part on the actual staff. So everything else you see is plastic color. I have not done any painting or modification, but I did want to point that out. That this kit has some pretty impressive color separation. So let's take a look at Angemon. So Angemon is basically my favorite Digimon. Like, if you were to just nail me down and say, what's your favorite Digimon, I'd probably answer with Angemon. I love his design. I love his storyline with TK. I like everything about this guy. He is absolutely, like, favorite Digimon for sure. So the thing is that I have on good authority that this is probably the best Angemon figure we've ever gotten. You know, because I pretty much have all of them. It's not like we get him often. It's interesting because we get a lot of Wargreymons, a lot of MetalGarurumons. But, you know, Angemon, Angewomon, those are two characters that I think are up there in popularity, but they just don't get the merch as often because of their more complex designs. So with Angemon, something that the model kit had to tackle was the ribbon wrapping. And the way they did it is really interesting because it is attached to individual limbs, and there is room for articulation, but there is a little latch back here that connects over the back, but it does come undone so you can actually pose the kit accordingly. I would be careful with it because it is a hard plastic on one end, soft plastic on the other, so you don't want anything breaking. But in general, once again, I mentioned this with the stickers, he looks incredible. All these rivets, separate plastic, all the gold bits are separate plastic. This is something that, like, you know, Bandai in general for me lately with their model kits, I haven't been as excited about their Gundam kits because I'm seeing them do stuff like this with Figurerise Standard, and then Gundam's like, here's your big old sheet of stickers to, you know, change all the colors. You know, the Gundam kits are less expensive, but, you know, I wish they were a little bit more expensive so that way, you know, we'd have something like this. Because out of the box, just out of the box straight away, what you've done here looks amazing. It actually looks incredible. The only thing that looks a little rough is maybe the white on the fingers here. I think that's like, you know, there's always something, but that's probably it. You know, I haven't touched it up with any white paint. That is exactly how the stickers look. You know, it's not too bad. Because the other stickers are not noticeable, like the silver line in his leg, not too noticeable. The ends of the staff, probably a little bit more noticeable since they're, you know, curled stickers. Well, you know, we'll talk about that. And the other thing, too, is there's like a sticker up his helmet to make sure it's black in there. You can't even see it. So yeah, in terms of color separation, just excellent stuff. But, you know, we of course need to talk about the articulation, because that's the hardest part with Angemon. So first of all, long hair, but the actual hair is on a joint, so it moves in and out. So that way he can still look up, he can look down. He's got, you know, 2 joints at the neck, one at the base, one at the top of the neck, which is pretty good. Shoulders, well, not demonstrate with that arm, because that arm's restricted. Shoulders move out. They also move down because they have an extra polycap joint, so he gets a real good forward range as well. But if you pull it too much, it's going to pop out of the socket, so be careful with your model kit. Let's get his arm back in there. He's got a single joint elbow, but it goes as far as about a double joint would. He's got a bicep swivel, and he's got ball jointed wrists. So for the other arm, you have to, this is about as much range as it goes. See, it just pulled itself apart. You can just unhook it if you're not having him in a neutral stance. And the elbow doesn't go as far because of the bandage wrapping. So because of that, it doesn't go as far, but the wrist still turns because this is attached to the base of the wrist as opposed to the arm, so it actually has some range. Coming down here to the legs, the hips, they move out, they drop down, they move forward. The actual skirt is not jointed in any way, so it could pop apart, but what is cool is it's clipped into the belt, and then it plugs into the front, so you can kind of keep it in place. He does have a double joint. It's a double jointed knee. It goes as far as that single joint in the elbow, and then the ankles pivot forward, back, left, right. And then like over here, you have this, and it's not going to move any, but that still has some range of malleability, but it does give you less range than the unfabricked legs. So that is just a natural thing that just comes with the design. In the torso, he's got a lower ball joint. He's got this upper ab joint. It goes left and right. And then each wing is individually articulated on a polycap type joint. I think the bottom wings works the best. But you got like a polycap in the back, and then the wings can be posed and adjusted as needed. And his wings aren't too large in this form, which is why I think it works pretty good as a model kit. But let's take a look at his 2 accessories. So first up, we have his staff. The staff is one solid piece of plastic with a couple stickers on the ends here. As you can see, it does fit into both hands. The way this works is the hands do split in half in order to accommodate the actual staff to go in. So you can see it, they split in half, and then they clamp around. I didn't really want to do it on camera. It's a little tricky to pull off, but pretty easy. So you got his staff there, which is really, really nice. It's kind of his main weapon of choice. And then his other accessory is a transparent right hand in orange, which is a fist. It doesn't hold the staff, but that is for the Hand of Fate, his final, major attack. And I think that's pretty cool. It's nice because the other, Digimon model kits for Figurerise Standard were kind of stock, you get the Digimon and then you're kind of done. Whereas this guy, he has some options, which is appropriate to his character. I do wish we had some face options, though, because it does look like he's kind of mildly bored while throwing his final attack out. All right, so for size-wise, Angemon is taller than Wargreymon and Magnamon, the other 2 humanoid Figurerise Standard kits I have. This is kind of interesting because I think that, the Figurerise Standard aren't going for accurate scale. I mean, here's MetalGarurumon. Just let's bring him in so he doesn't feel left out. They're not really going for accurate scale here. It's kind of approximate scale. Do they look good together? They do. I do think that, this is a thing with Digimon, is that some characters are much larger than others. Wargreymon, I do believe, is supposed to be larger than Angemon, but that may be also my mental perception being thrown off. So correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. But this does feel like it's supposed to go with the Figuarts Angewomon as opposed to the model kits, but it does look good with the model kits as well. So I think, overall it's a good lineup. And for a quick comparison, here's the Anime Heroes Wargreymon from Bandai USA, and you can see he's still a little bit taller than him. So he's kind of tall, but I kind of dig the overall sizing. And then just for fun here he is next to the Digivolving Patamon to Angemon figure, the US release version, where you can see he is actually taller, much nicer overall. I still love this guy. This is like my childhood Angemon figure. Great thing. And then here's the only gem statue that I own from Digimon, which is Angemon with TK, of course. So you can see he's smaller than that, but of course that's a statue. Just kind of nice to see where we're at with other Angemon figures. And then here he has the 2 other Digimon lines. Here's the Shoto Magna Angemon and the SH Figuarts Dukemon. So you can see that when you're putting it into a Figuarts display, these guys are larger. We don't have a Figuarts Wargreymon, but there definitely does seem to be a little bit better scale here as opposed to the actual model kits themselves. But the model kits do stay at a nice, reasonable price, so it all equals out. So overall, you really can't go wrong with Angemon. He's a pretty solid model kit. I like the posability, the details. I love the fact that out of the box, he looks finished. It doesn't feel like you have to do any touch-up on him, even though you could. And in general, he's just a nice model kit. The thing is, too, is his price point is very reasonable for what you get, and I think he's definitely a worthy addition to a Digimon figure collection.
Digivolve into Ultimate.
Alright, so here is SH Figuarts Angewomon. She is the first new mold SH Figuart to not be based on a previously released Tamashii Nations character. So with Dukemon, Gallantmon, that was a redo of the D-Art. With, Omegamon and Alphamon, those are redos of the previous Figuarts molds. Same thing with MetalGarurumon. So, Angemon is the first brand new character in the Digimon Figuarts line since MetalGarurumon, which is crazy because it's been like almost 10 years. So here she is, really nice box. It matches the style of the other Digimon Figuarts we've been seeing lately. This is the US release. She was Bandai in Japan, retail in the US, which is pretty nice. I like when they do that. But you can see all the details there we'll go over. Pretty nice box. It is quite wide because of her wings. But let's take a look at Angewomon. Alright, so here is Angewomon, the perfect definition of a collector's action figure. Okay, so here's the thing. I think, let's talk positives. First of all, she's beautiful. She's really well painted. Let's start at the feet. We'll just do a casual pan. I'm just trying to show the details, because as soon as I start touching this figure, it's all going to go awry. So here's the thing. She looks great. I like the extra metallic paint on the chest, the gold details. If we look up at the head sculpt, you can see that she's got a slight smile on this expression, which is nice, really cool. You can see the digicode written all around the wraps on her arms. You can also notice how I'm rotating the base here. Hair, wings. The wings are huge and beautiful. That's pretty accurate to the Angewomon design. They are supposed to be kind of out there. All right, so, I can tell you can tell. You can tell I'm avoiding touching the figure. Okay, so here's the thing. There's a reason why she's on this stand. She does come with this stand. I want to be first and foremost, she does come with the stand. There's a unique plug. This plug fits between the bottom two sets of wings. Holds her in place. I don't recommend necessarily using that. You can use it for flying poses. It's better for these more default poses. They do include an alternate clip here, which is like your standard Figuarts clip, but it doesn't, it's not your standard Tamashii clip because it doesn't port on straight. You port it on by taking that off, and then you port this on top. I would recommend this for any flying poses because it's going to be a lot more stable. But here's the thing about stability. When you have a figure like this, with her giant tassels, her giant wings, and her feet, she isn't going to stand. So here's my first thought. If you can't get the figure to stand on its own, why don't you just make a statue? Figuarts has done Figuarts Zeros, in-scale statues to their other Figuarts. Might have worked better for her. So here's the thing. I got her on the stand because she's not going to stand otherwise. But how is her articulation? All right, so first things first, the head, it's double ball jointed. It moves a little bit. You can see her entire torso is moving more than it. Her hair is going to restrict her movement a whole lot. The hair is not posable, which is a bummer because Angemon's hair was posable. But then again, his went straight into a helmet. Hers is exposed in the back. The torso is on a ball joint at the top and the bottom of the waist, which is nice. The shoulders move out. They would move 360. Single jointed elbows, ball jointed wrist things, the usual Figuarts wrists. Hips that move out, hips that move forward, hips that drop down. So you can see they drop down to move forward. And then we get a double jointed knee, which is super squared off for some reason. I wish that was a bit cleaner. And then ankles that pivot forward and back, left and right. And, there's like no point to those, but, they're there. The other thing you might notice is the joint tolerance. Figuarts, they have not been perfect lately. I know some people have been having loose joints. This hip doesn't feel too bad. This one kind of flops around. Oh, I did forget to mention when we're talking joints, all the wings are articulated on a hinge and swivel system, so they're all articulated. But here's something you might be noticing here is like her shoulder like cover piece for the butterfly shoulder, because the shoulders move forward and back a little bit, it likes to pop out of socket. So like right now, her shoulder is not fully attached. There it is. The other thing you'll notice is as I raise the arm, you know, it holds for about a moment. If I raise it this way, you know, now it's holding. You see, it's all starting to kind of fall apart because of this. This does have an extra joint. There's actual hinge there. But the problem is, let me just get this off of her, because the problem we have encountered is that they made this way too heavy. So if we look at her here, if we take the little boa thing off, the little tails, we can kind of fix her shoulder up. Geez, it is like not staying in there very well. So we got that. Yeah, she does have, you know, better articulation without all that weight on her, but it is not as accurate. So she's got a bicep swivel on both sides and elbows. But the problem is, you can see how like loosey-goosey all of this is. It just doesn't really want to like hold poses. And then on top of that, you can see she's constantly tipping back because her wings are too heavy. So here's the thing. This is one of those cases where, you know, I like articulated figures. I really do. But some designs just don't work well with articulation. And I'm afraid to say that, at least with the Bandai Tamashii style of articulation, Angewomon doesn't work with the articulation. Because currently, I've only been able to get her to pose standing stock still and doing some very careful maneuvering for the Holy Arrow, like you saw in the intro. We will try that again here, but we'll see if I can actually pull it off a second time. But this is a problem, is that I think this figure in general just suffers from the fact that it's the Angewomon design. Case in point is this. If you guys may notice how much weight is hanging out here. These are solid plastic. This needed to be hollowed out because with it being solid plastic, they just tangle up. They're weighing the whole figure down. Like these two things, like this isn't too heavy in general, but these two tail parts at the end are just weighing her down so badly. And because, you know, the design is to have this wrapped around her, it's just going to keep pulling down on the arms. So for the next couple segments, we're just going to leave that off because I don't know how to demonstrate this figure otherwise. So let's talk about we already talked about the articulation, let's talk about the accessories. First things first, she does come with multiple hands. So she's got two fists, they look like that. Here's the opposite fist. They do match because she does have the whole one gloved arm, one non-gloved arm thing. She does come with, of course, an extra hand for holding the Holy Arrow. And then this hand's a little more complicated because there's actually two connection points. So there's that. We can switch this over to once again, the Holy Arrow hand. But then to do the Holy Arrow, you're going to have to remove the whole joint, pull this off, and then attach this on so that you get the actual like arrow part. So pretty much, like I said, she can only really do two poses properly because of the articulation restriction. But there you go. So there's the Holy Arrow stuff. Now, unlike Angemon, since she is a Figuart, she does come with multiple faces. If you hold the back of the hair, pull the front of the helmet, pulls her whole face off. So we can see we had the slight smile face was the standard. There is the true neutral face here, which that's fine. I don't think I'm ever going to use that. And then the one that we're going to use in this instance, which is the shouting face for Holy Arrow. So we can line that up here, and then there we go. So she's all ready to go. So you see, if we wanted to do Holy Arrow without the tail thing, you know, let's get her wings like spread out. You can clip the arrow into the hand like this, line it up like this, so that you get kind of like balanced out here where it can hold somehow there. Okay, so you got that. I don't like this arrow being separate. I would have liked to have seen the arrow molded to the hand. That's always worked better with archer figures. But anyways, you can see that there. She can hold it. Now, we have to attach this back on. So we're going to pull this off, pop this hand. And let's see if we can do this on camera, because I just really want to demonstrate kind of the frustration of posing her. So we're going to wrap this around. That goes around that hand. We're going to plug the hand back on. Plug the hand back on. Come on. Pop it back on. Okay. So here it is. There's her arm in position. This one just has to wrap around this arm, luckily, because otherwise I'd have to pull the hand off again. And we got that. And God, I know this must be boring for people, but here we go. So if you want her to stand doing the Holy Arrow, let's get the arrow in the hand here. Can she stand and hold the holy arrow? Well, not really, because, okay, if you pluck... Fell out again. All right, so now I have to find the dang arrow. Also, this thing is a wreck on my white balance. So here we go. We got this. Bam. All right, so if we want the holy arrow, you got to get this balanced out like this, and you want to line up her arm like that. And okay, we got holy arrow from a standing position. Let's see if we can get the stand in place around her hair there. Turn her head. All right, fell out again. Like this, I think my point is being made that this is just incredibly difficult for no reason. There we go. Okay, so then, you know, get her foot. This thing is in the way. Get this here and holy arrow, right? Except isn't she mostly always flying? All right, so now we're going to position her into the stand pose. We're going to get her leg bent like up. Nope, she fell off the stand. She fell off the stand. Oh, wait, which... Okay, now she's on the stand. Now her leg is extended. This knee is bent. I'm following the actual product image on the back of the box here, seeing if we can recreate it. Okay, let's get this lined up. The arm needs to be out here. It keeps dropping. All right, what do we do about this? Bandai has this piece all the way up here. Okay, so let's just, you know, it's just kind of floating. Let's see, can we just rest it there? Okay, so if we rest it there, it's not dragging on her arm. This one, you know, they show it pivoting out. That hinge ain't holding crap, so that's not going to work. Let's get it. Oh, there we go. All right, we got it lined up there, and we line this up here, and we turn her head, and we tilt her back, and then all we got to do is have her hold the frickin' arrow. Please. Line it up, hold the arrow, hold the arrow. There we go. That's not how it looks on the box, but that's as close as we're getting. And I think that is pretty much it for this review. Like, all right, so I think, is my point made across? Let me know in the comments that this is, you know, usually with Figuarts reviews, I'll just go like, oh, montage, accessory, 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 because it's all a given. It's all just simplified. You just do it. Here, no, everything is a hassle. And it all stems from these being too heavy. If these were hollow plastic instead of solid plastic, this figure would be great. But it's a drag on the entire figure. Literally, physically, a drag on the whole figure. And so it makes posing her really, really hard. So if you're not going to have her in a default pose, or you're going to balance her in this, that's pretty much all you're getting. Because I don't know what else you can get out of this figure with everything included. It's mostly just to set up Holy Arrow. And if you can't do Holy Arrow, you're just going to have her standing neutrally. This, I think, would have been better as a Figuarts Zero of her doing the Holy Arrow pose that would have scaled with other figures. But guess what I got to do now? Take this all down so I can do a size comparison with Angemon. All right, so here she is next to Angemon. Now I'm going to raise him up a little bit here so you can see they are about the same height. I think they look nice together. I like posing Angemon a lot more than Angewomon, but they do look good together, which I think was the intention. Yeah, I don't know if they could do her in the model kit style due to the price point of the model kits, but she probably would be more posable because those things wouldn't be so heavy. But tricky design, tricky details. At least, at the very least, these two look good together. And then next to the SH Figuarts Dukemon, you can see that she is a lot smaller. So she's not scaled up. It's not like they're making all the Figuarts the same, though they did make her a little bit smaller. Again, fits with Angemon really well. Looks not out of place with the Figuarts. And then here she is with the Shoto Angewomon, who's another figure that can't stand without her own included stand. It's just a curse of the design. This is definitely more accurate, definitely looks a lot nicer, but this is not bad for what the Shoto line was. They do have the similar problem, though, that these things just drag down their articulation, though the Shoto can pose her arms outward without having problems. I don't have the Digivolving Spirits. Oh, her arm just fell off. I don't have the Digivolving Spirits Angewomon, and I don't know if this has a similar issue to that in terms of the inner body part, but this is a bit of a frustration. So in conclusion, do I recommend SH Figuarts Angewomon? Yes and no. Yes, if you are a big fan of Angewomon, or if you are trying to collect every Digimon figure out there, or if you want her to go with Angemon. And you're okay with having a very frustrating figure that you're going to do probably only 2 poses with. That costs over $100. You have to be, and I stress this, really dedicated to having a figure of this character in order to really enjoy this overall release. If you don't love Angewomon, if you don't need an articulated Angewomon in your display, if you don't need an Angewomon to go with your Angemon and your other Figuarts and model kits, then I highly recommend just passing this on by. It looks nice, but it could have been a statue and done the same exact thing and been a lot less frustrating. So I do not recommend her to the average Digimon consumer or fan. I only recommend her to the diehards who are collecting the Figuarts or the model kits or both that need an Angewomon in their display, or those really diehard Angewomon fans who probably already have bought it. I like the character a lot. Angemon's, my favorite of the two, but Angewomon I always try to get paired up with him. This serves that purpose, but I can't say that I'm not disappointed in it. I'm definitely underwhelmed by the overall problems with trying to pose this figure, and that has made it a very frustrating experience to not only own, but also to review. But that is why I make these reviews, so that way I can tell you guys what is worth getting and what's not. This is only for the diehards, and anybody else, I would recommend just skipping her on by. So overall, I definitely say the Angemon model kit is more fun than the Angewomon Figuart, just because of the way that she's designed. I think the model kit design worked out a lot better. They are both really complicated designs to pull off, and I'm impressed with what they did, but I do think that Angemon was the better executed figure overall. But that does it for this review. We don't know exactly what the next new Figurerise standard will be. We know Black Wargreymon is coming, but after that we don't know. And we don't know what the next Digimon Figuart will be. So let me know in the comments down below what your thoughts are on what is up for each line. I personally am hoping we stay out of the Royal Knights, like, super main character circle, at least for the adventure era. I would love to see, of course, like Frontier, like the two megas from Frontier, to make great figures or model kits. Either or, I'm not really that picky. So let me know what you think in the comments below. While you're down there, hit the like button if you enjoyed this. Hit subscribe and the notification bell so you don't miss out on a future Digimon video on the channel. There will still be Digimon for not only model kits and toys, but also Digivices and, naturally, Blu-rays. So check it all out as well. And if you missed any of those videos, find them on the channel. Also, be sure to check out my live streams Mondays at 5 p.m. Eastern, where we talk about Digimon, all kinds of cool stuff. And also be sure to find me on social media at Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, as long as those are still applicable. You can also find my awesome representative on Twitter at DarkClaw643. And you can find Hero Club at hero-club.com for anime news and more. And until next time, this is Soundout saying goodbye.